So now we're going to discuss about the biodiversity and the health society. Lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, we should be able first to determine the interrelatedness of society, environment, and health. Second, create a diagram that would show the relatedness of species in forming up a diverse and healthy society without comprising one another. And last, identify everyday tasks and evaluate whether they contribute to the wellness and health of biodiversity and society or not. But before we dive into our topic, let me share a link to everyone about the song of Michael Jackson, which is the Earth Song. This song had an environmental theme showing images of animal cruelty, deforestation, pollution, poverty, and war. Jackson and the world's people unite in a spiritual chant, which is the Earth Song, which summons a force that heals the world. Biodiversity. All the kinds of life you'll find in one area, the variety of animals, plants, fungi, and even microorganisms like bacteria that make up our natural world. Each of these species and organisms work together in ecosystem like an intricate web to maintain balance and support life. Biodiversity supports everything in nature that we need to survive: food, clean water, medicine, and shelter. So biodiversity in one word is life. There are three levels of biodiversity. First, the genetic variation within a population. Second, the variety of species in a community. Third, the variety of communities in an ecosystem. Genetic diversity, a term used to describe the variation in the DNA sequence in each of our genomes. So genetic variation is what makes us. Genetic diversity exists across all living organisms, from plants and animals to bacteria. In humans, the genetic diversity is what makes each person unique, shaping traits and adaptability. But the same principle applies to ecosystems, where genetic variation within species strengthens resilience and survival.
So my report is all about pesticide diversity, ecosystem diversity, ecosystem. And the last part is the summary of ecosystem. So first part of my topic is the pesticide diversity. Pesticide diversity is the measure of biological diversity observed in a particular ecological community, indicating in numbers, species, and species reaches in an ecological area. So the explanation of this is species diversity in the variety of different species living in a particular area or ecosystem, showing how many types of animal, plants, and or other organisms are found here, and it helps scientists understand why or how healthy, balanced, or stable the environment is. Because an area with many different species usually means the ecosystem can better survive changes like disease or weather problems, while an area with fewer species might be more to risk of problem is one species disappears, and this diversity includes not just how many species there are, which is called species richness, but also how evenly the individual of a species are spread, which is called that species evenness. So when they say a place of high species diversity, we mean it has the many types of organisms that are all important for keeping the ecosystem strong, connected, and functioning well, making it a key idea in biology and conversation to protect life on Earth. So the second is ecosystem diversity, the variety of different habitats, community, and ecological processes. A biological community is defined by the species that occupy a particular area and the interaction between those species. So the explanation of this is, for me, the ecosystem diversity means the variety of different natural places on Earth like forests, oceans, desert, woodlands, and grasslands, each with own mix and living things such as animals, plants, fungi, and microbes, and the non-living things like air, water, and soil. Where all these species interact with each other and their environment in unique ways through processing like feeding, growing, reproducing, and breaking don't waste, and this interaction from biological communities. which are groups of species living the same area and depending on one another to survive. So when we talk about ecosystem diversity, we are really talking about all different types of environments and living networks inside them and work together to support life. And having many different ecosystems across the planet is important because it helps nature stay balanced, strong, and able to adapt changes, which is why scientists and conversation work hard to protect the diversity for future generation. So, ecosystem. Ecosystem is a geographic area where plants, animals, and other organisms, as well as weather and landscape, work and interact together in the form of a bubble of life. So, an ecosystem contains symbiotic or living things and abiotic or non-living things. So, an ecosystem, explanation of this is for me, an ecosystem is a natural area where living things like plants, animals, or tiny organisms live and interact with non-living things like sunlight, air, water, temperature, and soil, all working together like team or to create balanced environment or bubble of life, where every part plays a role. Parts make food, animals eat plants or other animals. Tiny organisms break down waste and things like weather, rocks, and health affect how life grows and survives. So this makes of living called biotic and non-living called abiotic. Parts keeps everything connected and running smoothly, whether an ecosystem is a huge like a rainforest or tiny like a pond. And if other parts changes like less or too much heat, it can affect the whole system, which is why ecosystems are so important to understand and protect because they support life and help keep the earth healthy for people, animals, and plants and everywhere. So biodiversity is an essential of the processes that support all life on earth including humans. So for me, the biodiversity means having many different kinds of living things like animals, plants, and tiny organisms. And it is very important because these living things work together in nature to keep the earth healthy. So without this variety of life, we would have not we would not have clean air to breathe, good food to eat, and clean water to drink, or healthy soil to grow crops since each species plays a role in keeping nature balanced. For example, bees help plants grow by spreading pollen, trees clean the air, and microorganisms break down waste and make them soil rich. So when we lost many species, the system that support life can start to break down, which can harm people and all living things are and that is why we and harm people and all living things. That is why we need to protect biodiversity to make sure that nature keeps working properly for us and for our future generation who will also need clean air, fresh food, and healthy planet to live on. So, therefore, as a human inhabitants of an ecosystem must preserve and conserve the biodiversity to creatures. So, therefore, because we are part of nature and live in ecosystem along with animals, plants, and other living things, we must take care of all life and forms protect and saving biodiversity, which means that keeping all kinds of living things safe because human defense of them of everything like food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the medicine we use. And even the clothes we wear. So the simple words, we need biodiversity and every single day just to live and be healthy. And if we do not take care of it, we can lose the balance of nature, which can lead to problems like food, shortage, dirty air, and sick environment. So if our job is protect of all forms, not just for animals or plants, but for ourselves too, because without biodiversity, life would not be the same. We must respect and care the nature to keep our world strong and alive. So, if you want to watch na mga awit ng Tanod Lupa, you can watch this, and here's the link of, if you want, the mga awit ng Tanod Lupa.
If we fail to keep the process of taking care of the ecosystem, it is us who are actually putting our lives at risk. Significant decline in biodiversity has direct human impact when ecosystem in its insufficiency can no longer provide the physical as well as social need of human beings. So, if we stop taking care of the environment, we are putting our own lives in danger. When biodiversity, meaning the variety of life starts to disappear, the ecosystem cannot give us what we need like food, clean air, and water. This also affect our job, income, and in some cases may even cause fight or conflict in communities. As humans put increasing pressure on the planet using and consuming more resources than ever before, we risk upsetting the balance of ecosystem and losing biodiversity. WWF's 2022 Living Planet report found an average 69% decline in global population of mammals, fish, birds, reptiles, and amphibians since 1970. The 2000 landmark global assessment report by the Intergovernmental Platform in Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services reported 1 million animal and plant species are now treated with extinction, the highest number in human history. So the report shows that humans are using too many natural resources, and this is destroying the balance of nature. Of 2022 report found that the population of wild animals like mammals, fish, birds, and reptiles has dropped by 59% since 1970s. Also, in 2019, scientists reported that about 1 million species of plant and planets are now in danger of disappearing. This is the highest in human history. So we must act now. Protecting diversity means protection our future. Biodiversity at risk. The extinction of many species in a relatively short period of time is called a mass extinction. Earth has experienced several mass extinctions, each probably caused by a global change in climate. It takes millions of years for biodiversity to rebound after a mass extinction. So when many species go extinct in a short time, we call it mass extinction. Earth has had several mass extinctions before, usually because of big climate change, but it takes millions of years for life to fully recover after that. Biodiversity at risk. Current extinction. Scientists are warning that we are in the midst of another mass extinction. The rate of extinction is estimated to have increased by a multiple of 50 since 1880s, with up to 25%, 1080 and 2100. The current mass extinction is different from those who the past because humans are primary cause of the extinction. So since the year 1800, 1900s, the extinction rate has increased 50 times. Experts think that by the year 2100, we might lose up 25% of all species on Earth. So we need to act now. Protect the biodiversity before it's too late. So how do humans cause extinctions? In the past 2 centuries, human population growth has accelerated and so has the rate of extinction. The major causes of extinctions today are the destruction of habitats, the introduction of non-native species population, the over harvesting of species. So in the table below, you can see how do humans cause extinctions. Treat the biodiversity, habitat loss and destruction, alterations in ecosystem compositions, exploitation, population and contamination, global climate change. So over the past 200 years, the human population has grown fast and so has the number of extinction. The main causes are destroying habitats like forests and coral reefs, bringing in non-native species that harm local animals and plants, population of air, water and land, over harvesting or hunting too many animals or cutting too many trees, and climate change caused by too much carbon emissions. All these actions are making it hard for many species to survive, and if we don't stop, more will go extinct.
Biodiversity at risk. How do humans cause extinctions? In the past 2 centuries, human population's growth has accelerated and so has the rate of extinction. The major causes of extinction today are the destruction of habitat, the introductions of non-native species, pollution, the over-harvesting of species. Humans are a major cause of species extinction due to the various harmful activities. Over the past 2 centuries, human population growth and the extinction rate have both increased. Main causes of extinction include habitat destruction, introduction of non-native species, pollution, harvesting of species. There is a chart showing how different species are affected by these human activities. Traits to biodiversity, habitat loss and destruction, alternations in ecosystem composition, overexploitation, pollution and contamination, global change and climate change. The major human-related threats to biodiversity, habitat loss and destruction when forests, rivers, and other natural areas are cleared or changed for cities, farming, or roads. Number two is alternations in ecosystem compositions, changing the natural balance of plants and animals, often by removing some or adding others. Three, overexploitation, taking too many natural resources like fish, trees, or animals faster than they can recover. 4. Pollution and contamination, harmful chemical and waste affecting air, water, and soil. 5. Global climate change, caused by human activities that areas greenhouse gases leading to rising temperatures, melting ice, and changing weather patterns. Habitat destruction and fragmentation. As human populations grow, we use more land to build homes and harvest resources. In the process, we destroy and fragment the habitats of other species. It is estimated that habitat loss causes almost 75% at the extinction now um, occurring. Human clear forests and natural land for development and agriculture. This destroy the homes of plants and animals and makes it difficult for them to find food, mates, or shelter. Losing their habitat is the biggest reason many species are disappearing today. Alternations in ecosystem composition. Alternations and sudden changes, either within species groups or within the environment, could begin to change entire ecosystem. Alternation in the ecosystem are a critical factor contributing to species and habitat loss. When the makeup of an ecosystem changes, like the number of predators, types of plants, or soil quality, it can throw off the natural balance. This might happen due to the pollution, climate change, or introducing new species. Such disruption can be dangerous for the survival of the native species. Pollution and contamination. Biological systems respond slowly to changes in their surrounding environment. Pollution and contamination cause irreversible damage to species and varieties. Biological systems like ecosystem or species respond slowly to changes, making them vulnerable to pollution. Pollution can be from factories, chemicals, oil spills, plastic waste, or etc. These pollutants cause irreversible damage to the environment, killing species or making habitats unlivable. Pollution from human activities contaminates the air, water, and soil. Animals and plants can't always adapt quickly to these changes, leading to illness or death. Over time, this leads to loss of a diverse biodiversity and ecosystem collapse. Overexploitation, overhunting, overfishing, or overcollecting of species can quickly lead to its decline. Changing consumption patterns of humans is often cited as the key reason for this unsustainable exploitation of natural resources. This refers to overhunting, overfishing, or overcollecting of species when humans take more than natural can replace the species pollutions quickly decline. Changing consumption patterns increase demands for food, medicine, or resources is a major driver for this overuse. Overexploitation unsustainably use, uses natural resources, pushing species towards extinction. Humans often harvest animals or plants faster than they can reproduce. For example, excessive fishing reduces fish pollution, and illegal hunting threatens species like renans and elephants. This kind of overuse harm biodiversity and ecosystems. Global climate change. Both climate variability and climate change cause biodiversity loss. Species and populations may be lost permanently if they are not provided with enough time to adapt to changing climate conditions. Global climate change and climate variability threatens biodiversity because many species may disappear permanently if they cannot adapt quickly enough to the changing environment.
So for the continuation of this report, let us discuss the vital link between the biodiversity and the human health. So healthy communities depend on the healthy ecosystems. So think of it like this. Ecosystems are like the Earth support system. They give us essential things we need to survive and thrive. Now, these ecosystems provide us with clear air to breathe, um, clean water to drink. Many medicines comes from the plants, the animals, and they help us to ensure that we have enough food to eat. So
Let us take a look at this infographic right here. So this infographic shows the important benefits of biodiversity. It reduces the risk of diseases and provides us with many resources and solutions. So why is protecting our biodiversity crucial for our health and our planet? We need to make sure that we are protecting the balance of nature. This is a challenge that affects us and all requires collective action. Now let me give you 5 reasons why biodiversity matters to our health, economy, and our well-being. So the first one is biodiversity keeps us healthy and feeds us. All different plants, animals, and even tiny organisms work together to give us the foods we eat. So, thanks to biodiversity, we have a variety of fruits, vegetables, fish, meat, and more. Now, these are all important for our healthy and balanced diet. So, even bees, without bees and other pollinators, many crops wouldn't grow. Without healthy soil and clean water, both supported by the nature, farming wouldn't be possible. So, biodiversity is like the giant support system that helps us keep our bodies strong and our plates full. Second is biodiversity helps us fight diseases. Yes, you heard it right. Why? Because many of the medicines we use today come from the plants, herbal, especially from the rainforest. For example, around 25% of modern medicines come from the plants, and many cancer drugs are inspired by nature. Also, nature helps prevent the spread of diseases. When forests are destroyed and animals are pushed closer to people, diseases like the COVID-19 can spread more easily. The third one is biodiversity helps businesses. Yes, because half of the world's money, about $44 trillion, depends on nature. Things like tourism, farming, and medicines all need healthy ecosystems. Coral reefs, for example, are not only beautiful but they also help with food and tourism. Number 4, biodiversity gives people jobs and income. So every year, the nature provides around $125 trillion in value in farming, forest, and water jobs, especially in poorer countries. People depend on biodiversity to survive. In India, forests help support over half of the rural communities. So imagine half. Number 5, biodiversity protects us. Nature helps us protect us from the diseases like floods, storms, for example, the mangroves. Those trees near the ocean act like natural shields, but over 35% of them have destroyed. If we lose more, millions more people will be risked at flooding or even tsunamis. Also, protecting nature helps fight, fight climate change. Nature can reduce 37% of the carbon pollution we need to stop global warming by year 2030. So, in short, biodiversity helps us stay healthy, gives us foods and jobs, protect us from disasters, and supports the economy. That's why it is very important to take care of the nature because when we protect biodiversity, we also protect ourselves. Now let us proceed. So what may possibly happen if there is a changes in our biodiversity? So ano nga ba? So when biodiversity changes or decreases, it can affect our health in many serious ways. So a loss in biodiversity can make us more likely to get sick. It can expose us to new diseases and make existing ones worse. So according to the research, when nature is damaged, it can lead to the health problems like depression. So like Parkinson's disease, heart disease, cancer, asthma, diabetes, and even infections like malaria and dysentery. So this shows that a healthy environment helps keep people healthy too. So when nature suffers, so do we. Next, the importance of biodiversity in science and technology. So why is it connected? Biodiversity is like the foundation that supports all life on Earth. The air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water we drink all depend on having a rich variety of plants, animals, and microorganisms. So in science and technology, biodiversity is a source of new discoveries. Many inventions, medicines, and scientific breakthroughs come from studying nature, from the structure of bird wings, inspiring airplane designs to plant being used in medicine, even in creating new materials. Nature helps us learn, invent, and improve our lives. So protecting biodiversity also means protecting the future of science and innovation. So that's all. Thank you.